had gotten the information
Say again?
from, hold on. I had gotten this information from Brother Wahid's wife and
Mm-hmm.
Sister Rashida. So I wasn't clear. I heard you say something about extension courses.
Mm-hmm.
So is this a class to help us to complete the extension courses?
Yes. What we let me ask you this: did you ever start the Dianetics book 1 extension course?
Actually, I started the extension course. I don't know. You remember when it first came out? The minister had those who had been laborers to come to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And he did it. And then I actually paid to go to be an auditor, but during the pandemic, we had stopped and I just never went back. So I didn't even finish the extension course or the auditor's class.
Okay. The goal of this group is this. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan made the statement, and I got to get the actual facts on this. But my understanding is he wanted to marry the supreme wisdom with the supreme tech. Okay. And there's a video, it's about a 9-minute video where the minister is speaking in Los Angeles, where he speaks about the significance of the tech as a tool to be used. Now, if you look at the word marry in Arabic, the word in Arabic is zawj, and it means to find the equivalent or to find the corresponding points. What we do is we provide the data to show the believers that they may have had, some doubts about the teaching of Scientology, but there is a verse in the Holy Qur'an where it says that Allah has taught us the explanation of all things. We do word clearing, which is one of the tools used by the Church of Scientology, and we use the word clearing on the Arabic of the Holy Qur'an. And what we have found with Allah's help is that the tech of Dianetics is already in the Holy Qur'an. So really, there's no reason why we have some individuals that felt like the minister was changing the teachings. No, the minister was giving us another tool so that we can get deeper into the teaching.
That's right.
And not just recite it, but to be able to use it.
Yes, ma'am.
It's already in the Holy Qur'an, because if Allah says, I've given you a book explaining all things, if that is explaining all things except Dianetics, that means the Holy Qur'an is a false book, correct?
Exactly.
Okay, so if Allah says, this book explains all things, then the tech would have to be in the Holy Qur'an. And what we have found is, not only is the tech in there, but when we clear the words in Arabic, we are coming to the exact words that are used in the Church of Scientology.
Okay.
Okay, so tonight, we're going to deal specifically with a surah, and those that have done have done coursework at the org. Do you remember what a demo kit is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the little bowl had the little trinkets in it, little glass marbles and stuff that was in
Yes,
it.
Oh,
Yes,
You
yeah.
had
sir.
to use that to get the mask, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you're gonna hear me saying this a lot. You understand what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? Because I'm vibing off of voice because a lot of people are off camera, and that's fine. But what we say is the universe is Allah's demo kit. So what we're going to be using tonight is that we're going to have a little science as a demo kit. On Wednesday morning, we deal more with the problem book, and we deal with physics, quantum physics, and mathematics, and we use formula as demo kits to give us a better understanding of our Islam and the tech of Dianetics. Does that make sense?
Deep.
I mean, if we're to grow into the circle of the gods, the Most High Elijah Muhammad says in Closing the Gap, the minister quoting him, the Most High Elijah Muhammad said that we have to study the nature of the universe, its plant life, its insect life, and the natural laws behind that, and that is the language of a scientist, correct?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, so all we're doing is we're learning the language of a scientist. What's the language of a scientist? Mathematics, physics, chemistry, calculus, trigonometry. All of those are demo kits that teach us a knowledge of self, a knowledge of Allah, and the universe around us. The basis of this comes from A Torchlight for America, pages 48 to page 51. The minister says, every educational system, you have to put Allah at the center of it, correct?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
And then he says that when you study a subject, you're studying yourself, correct?
Yes, sir.
So tonight, what we're gonna do is we're gonna study the text. We're gonna show us where it can be found in the Holy Qur'an. And then we're gonna use some examples from science to gain a knowledge of the tech and our own aberrated mind. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Praise be to Allah.
Before we get started, I see Sister Shayla. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Shayla.
Wa alaikum salam. Everybody, forgive me not being,
Say again.
please forgive me not being on camera. I'm
Oh,
driving.
no, that's fine, Sister Shayla. That's fine. Don't even worry about it. And I see Ashin.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. And who invited you, Sister Ashin?
Sister Amira.
Sister Amira. Is she with
Or
us?
Anaya.
Oh, Sister, okay, yes, ma'am.
Ania.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
And we got Sister
Okay.
Rashida.
Thank you.
And we got Sister Rashida. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, sir, sister, Ania.
Ania.
This is doing the thing. All right. Praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah.
And Brother Abdul Salam. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Salam.
Walaikum salam, my brother. I'm doing fine. How you doing, soldier?
Doing fine, Brother Salam. Doing fine.
Good.
Praise be to Allah. All right. And there's Sister Ania. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Ania.
Wa alaikum salam. Praise be to Allah.
I see you've been busy.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Sister Ania. And Sister Diane, you have a question.
Yes, sir. When we're speaking as far as learning, the nature of everything in as far as scientists are concerned, are we also talking about animism in that respect as well?
Just give us a detail. My understanding of animism might be superficial, but if you can give me your understanding of it.
Well, animism is basically the way of like we find everything in nature, as part of our own spirituality. Is it's sort of like everything that we have in nature, whether it's the animals, whether it's any mineral and anything, plants, everything, as far as that is concerned.
Okay. I will answer your question like this. If we look at problem number 13, that speaks about a mathematical theology, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, in mathematics, the word mathematics is a broad term.
Correct.
Is the word algebra still considered mathematics?
Yes, sir.
In one aspect.
Okay. So that means there must be an algebraic theology, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So there must be a theology of trigonometry, correct?
Yes.
There has to be a theology of calculus.
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you look at biology, you're looking at mathematics applied to life sciences, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if I study the heart, there should be a cardiological theology, correct?
Correct, sir.
Okay, so everything in the universe is like a physical object
Mhm.
that contains lessons to teach us about different aspects of Allah's nature and about ourselves. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So everything in the universe, Allah says it in the Holy Qur'an in Surah 2, ayat number 26. Allah disdains not to set forth any parable, a gnat, or anything above that. I'm assuming at the time of that writing that the gnat was the smallest thing that they were speaking of. However, if we apply that same concept to a modern time, could we not say an atom or anything above that?
Yes, we can.
True.
Could we say a quark or anything above that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So everything in the universe is a parable, and a parable is simply stated is a lesson, a spiritual lesson given in the form of a picture or a story. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense.
Okay, so does that kind of go in line with the question you just asked?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, for right now.
Okay,
But thank you, brother. I appreciate it. I yield.
okay. But again, at any point in time, ask whatever question you like. The question that we may have may be the solution to someone else's situation. Someone could ask a question and cause another person to release or even go clear. Allah might work through any one of us to be the solution to someone else's aberration. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Goodness.
Sister Linda? Yep.
Yes, sir. I came in. I'm sorry. One moment. I went and I'm sorry. A business call is coming in, and I had to respond to it. I'm sorry, but I did come into the States. I'm in the Virgin Islands, and I did come into the States to complete the book version of the I can't even think of the name of it right now.
Dianetics?
Dianetics, the science.
Dianetics, yes. I just
Science of the
finished
mind.
Dianetics, but when I came back, I did not audit the 5 people that I should have audited to receive my
Okay.
gold star.
Okay.
And so I haven't been able to come back to the States to try to do that either.
Okay.
So I just wanted to know if it, I mean, can I be encouraged or get
Oh, yes,
gotten
ma'am.
along
Oh,
the way? And plus, I'm gonna have to go back and study too. I mean, I'm sure I know more than what I think that I know, but I would like to get it completed.
Okay. Here's how we're going to try to encourage everyone. Whoever is interested, if you don't mind placing your name and phone number either in the chat publicly, or if you don't mind sending or put it to me privately, I'm going to forward your name and your phone number to a member of the Church of Scientology who I've been working with for over 10 years now. They will contact you and get you pointed in the right direction to complete all that you have started. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, so,
Now, what we'll do on Sundays is we will help individuals go through extension courses, and we're going to show how the tech is found in the Holy Qur'an so that we can take the tech and put it in the fine language that we know. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
yes, sir.
In the language of the problem book and our supreme wisdom lessons, that's how we're going to handle the tech, because that's how we have to bring it back to our people. We got to put it in our language. The Savior gave us rule number 3 and says no person can be successful unless they speak the people's language, correct?
That's right.
Okay. Now, we might have family members that aren't in the Church of Scientology and they're not in Islam. They might be in the church. So what we do is there's ways you can give them information from the Bible. And as the Most High Elijah Muhammad says, when you give a baby a bottle, you put some Islam in it. Well, we can give our family members the Bible and put some Dianetics in it. Does that make sense? All right.
Go ahead, Fruit. Yes,
So
sir.
we use
Teach, Muhammad.
the language
Teach that.
of the individual, and we teach them. If we come across a friend that might be Buddhist, well, we can take that avenue too, because really the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, not only is that Dianetics, but that's Islam, if you understand.
Islam is everything.
All right. If someone can pull up Message to the Black Man, page 90 for me, and just let me know when you have it. That would be a great help to me. Sister Angela, I see you have a question.
Yes, sir. Actually, it was for the sister from the Virgin Islands.
Okay.
Have you tried to utilize the modern technology? You know, there's a lot of people that are on course that are handing in their work assignments online. And I got my gold seal via 3 tacit consents. I didn't have to present 5 people. So you can actually, we also have, I don't know if everybody is aware of this, but we have an app that you can, the nation has an app where we count our hours and activity and things that you can turn in. But you can actually get your pre-clears to write a letter, and you can turn them in, and hopefully that can get your gold seal. So, and all of that can be sent to you. They can just print you out another certificate with the gold seal and mail it to you, inshallah. So hopefully that can get you on the road to encouragement. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you, Sister Angela, because that's key. I know all my courses, the extension course I don't do the paper and put it in the mail. I type it up, send an email. I get my responses within a day or two. I've been working with the same individual for about 10 years, so it can be done. Anyone else before we get started? Oh, wait, hold up. Sister Patricia. Did I see Sister Patricia?
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Oh, wa alaikum salam. Okay, how you doing, Sister Patricia?
I'm coming along.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yes.
I had a water leak and my house is still disordered, so you know.
Okay. We're gonna get that tone up a little bit. And then we have a Sister Laverne. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Laverne.
I'm sorry, sir.
Wa alaikum salam. This is my first time here with you presenting. I'm in Atlanta.
Okay. Praise be to Allah. Glad to have you.
I have that quote for you, brother Lukman.
Okay. Third paragraph from the top. You know which one I'm talking about, though.
Yes, sir. If you desire, that's the one?
Yes, sir.
If you desire to preach or teach that a certain religion is true or right, you should know all religions and their scriptures.
Okay. Well, does that include, if Scientology is a religion, would that include Scientology?
Yeah, when they say stuff about us missing stuff,
yes,
or them missing stuff, it has to be like made up. Like
somebody's on the line.
And everybody act like they don't want to go back up there.
But who is that?
Sister Rashida, your phone is unmuted.
I got it. Okay. Did everyone hear that? What the brother Salam just read?
He got intercepted.
Let me read it again.
No, I didn't hear.
Brother.
If you desire to preach or teach that a certain religion is true or right, you should know all religions and their scriptures. Page 90, Message to the Black Man.
Now those words come, that's what we call stable datum. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, that's stable datum.
Yes,
That's Message to the Black Man. That's telling us, at least me, where I perceived it, is that if we just study one thing, we become narrow-minded. But how do you communicate with other people from other walks of life and other religions if you can't speak their language? We have to be able to speak Buddhism. We have to be able to speak Scientology. We have to be able to speak Christianity. We have to speak all those things. Okay. Now, with that being said and done, let us get to, go ahead, Sister Angela.
Okay, it took a minute to unmute. So to me, it's going back to the question Sister Diane posed about this. What is the word that she used?
Animism.
Yeah, okay. And it seemed because when you two were when you were talking to each other, I went into the word nat, how it's presented in the Holy Qur'an, and of course, looking at that smaller. And I guess I'm looking more towards the profoundness of past, present, future, perfect tense. And this is what this is meaning to me. I can go to a Christian and I can quote verses from the Bible, and I can go to the Buddhist and find something in sound or nature that they can understand because they chant and things of that nature. However, I think we're all going to end up at the same place, mathematics and truth. So it's a big circle to end up where we began anyway. This is what I'm saying. I just wanted to share that.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay.
Holy Qur'an,
Okay.
16th Surah, 89th verse.
Okay, this is where we're going to start. Okay. And we have revealed the book to the explaining all things. Does that mean explaining all things except the text? Or would that include the text?
That includes the text.
That would include the text, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the duty of a civilized person, to my understanding, is to teach the science of, is it everything in life except the science of the mind? Or is it the science of everything in life? Would that include the mind?
Everything in life.
Okay, so the 5% are supposed to teach the science of everything in life. That would include the science of the mind, correct?
That's right. Correct.
Okay. We're going to deal with Surah 99, and we're going to see and use Surah 99 as a demo kit to illustrate and explain the concept of aberration. Okay. Y'all with me?
Yes, sir.
With you, yes, sir.
Now, before we do that, let me back up for a split second here. I want to share this with us. You know, we'll start with the words of the minister. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Let's see, where is it at here? There it is. Okay. I pray Allah that you can see my screen. Let me do that. Share screen. Okay. Can you see the minister on my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
This is from Divine Destruction of America, 1996.
Can she avert it?
My dear family, the Bible says that this grief that God is going to bring as chastisement, it will be such that when day comes, you wish it was night. And when night comes, you will wish it was day. And it said you will be in such a bad state that you will want to die. And yet death will flee from you. God is going to hold you in it, won't let you die till he's ready to take you out.
Okay. So the tool, as the minister said, that will be used in the chastisement is going to be grief, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so that's a stable datum, yes?
Yes.
sir.
Okay. Now I'm going to repeat something for those that are new to the group. If you look on page 81 and 82 of Our Savior Has Arrived, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad says that the judgment will begin 1,380 years to 1,400 years after the death of the prophet, correct? Who has seen that, or who remembers us going over that already?
Yeah,
Yes,
I remember it.
yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So if that's the judgment, and he says within the same span of pages, he says, during this 20-year period, your mind will be made clean. It's going to be a period where the brown germ is going to be removed, and that we will get to the point where we won't even be able to sin anymore, and the things of this world will be erased from our memory. Is that what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad says?
Yes, sir.
Yes, and our Savior has arrived, page 85, I think it is.
So
Savior
now,
is right, page 85. Thank you.
so now, with that understanding, if that starts 1,380 years after the death of the prophet, and he died at 632 AD, you add those two numbers together and you get the year 2012, which is the time period, and it was the first time that auditing was offered at Mos Mariam in Chicago. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So the 20-year period of our mind being made clean corresponds to what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad describes in Our Savior Has Arrived, 2012 to 2032. What's the point? The minister said that grief is going to be a tool that's used during the chastisement, but through the same Messiah came the tech that would allow us to remove grief so that we wouldn't take part in that fire. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
The Bible says it like this: they were cast into the oven, but one like the Son of Man was in the oven with them, keeping it cool, correct? Y'all with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So we would go through a type of suffering, but if we follow the instructions that the minister gave us with regards to studying the text, we might get a couple of little hiccups along the way, but we would not suffer as much as those that did not take up the study of the text. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So now the question is, what is the relationship between Surah 99, the shaking, and aberration? Okay.
Grief.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Most definitely. So here's the learning objectives for tonight. We're going to examine Surah 99. We're going to do what's called word clearing. Does anyone not understand what word clearing is? Okay. So
I do not. I do not, sir.
Okay. In the study text, in the Church of Scientology, word clearing, there's three barriers to learning. One is too steep a gradient, meaning you take a concept and you teach it in such a way it's too much for a person to comprehend. You got to break it down into smaller increments. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
The second thing is lack of mass. I can talk to you about earthquakes, but I need to provide mass to show you what an earthquake really looks like. And by giving you the mass, which we're going to do tonight, what an earthquake really is and what it actually does, that takes away the barrier because now you actually see what you're studying. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
But the most important thing is the misunderstood word. Because there's certain words that if we go past that word and we don't understand it, then everything after that, we're not going to understand. Does that make sense?
Hold down.
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead, Brother Robin.
Yes, sir. In the Supreme Wisdom lessons, it says, there's more to be understood in the words.
In the words. Yes, sir. Thank you, brother.
Praise the Lord.
There is a study guide written by Brother Jabril from, it's either 1982 or 83. He made reference to a book, and the book is called How to Read a Book by Mortimer J. Adler. I highly recommend everyone obtain that book and have it in your library, because it goes into depth about the concept of being on terms, the student being on terms with the author. If you're not on terms with the author, you can read the information, but you'll totally miss it and you won't understand anything that the author read, because you're looking at it from one angle and the author meant it this way, and you're not meeting in between. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Can you repeat the name of the author?
Mortimer J. Adler.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Okay, give me 1 second. What's that here? Okay, here. Okay.
What is the name of the book again?
It's called How to Read a Book.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, it's just simple title, and it's one of the best books. Anyone that is a reader should have that in their library. Okay, so in word clearing, what we do is we go through the steps of getting a deeper understanding of words. We're going to apply this to the Arabic that's found in the Holy Qur'an, and what you're going to see is when we go into the Arabic, we're going to come face to face with the terminology that's found in the Church of Scientology. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we're going to find the correspondence between the Holy Qur'an, the Supreme Wisdom, and Dianetics. Find the marriages. We're going to look at the concept of fire. For those that don't know, I've been in the fire department now for about 18 years. So I use fire as a demo kit to explain the concept of aberration. When you see a house on fire, the same concept of a house being on fire, we can show the direct correlation to a mind that is on fire. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
The same science between a house on fire and how you put it out, it parallels perfectly with auditing. Okay. And then we're going to look at an earthquake as a demo kit. You're going to look at this earthquake and you're going to see aspects of yourself as we do the earthquake. Okay. So the shaking. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Go ahead, Sister Shayla.
Did you just say that putting out a fire is like dealing with the mind?
Oh, most definitely. We can do, yes, ma'am, most definitely.
Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Here's a quick datum on that. And we covered this a little while ago. We talked about a room being on fire.
Yes, we did.
And we said, okay, why do firemen just break the windows? You know, people just think we like to break stuff. And we do like breaking stuff. But there's a science behind why we do it. So if a room is on fire, from the time that fire starts to that room going to what we call flashover takes approximately 2 minutes and 30 seconds. That means if we're in that room at the time now flashover means everything in the room will spontaneously combust. Everything just combusts. If we're in the room at the time that happens, we combust also. So we have a window of 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So what happens is the temperature increases. As the smoke fills the room, the smoke begins to descend. And then what happens is the visibility you can't see in that room, correct?
Correct.
So it's extremely hot, there's no visibility, and it's about to explode. So when we break the window, that's called venting, okay?
Yes.
Venting. What
Yes.
happens when a person is venting?
Oh, that's what I used to do.
Okay, so when
Destroy.
when you
Teach,
vent the
Muhammad.
room, you're getting the heat out, the smoke is going out, so you're increasing the visibility so you can see, and you're removing the heat so that anyone who is in that room, they have more time to survive now because you've decreased the temperature and you remove the smoke. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So when you vent is what you do when you're going through processing. Because what are you doing? You're letting out the charge. Your vision becomes better because now you can see the root of your aberration and you're getting the emotion out, correct?
Correct.
So the auditor is a mental firefighter. Okay. So that's just part of it. We could go even deeper into the science of fighting fire, how a fire is just like the reactive mind. It's very, even though fire is not a living thing, the fire moves and travels through a building based on physics and science as if it were alive. That's how the reactive mind works as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Very welcome. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, when the earth is shaken with her shaking, and the earth brings forth her burdens, and man says, what has befallen her? On that day, she will tell her news as if thy Lord had revealed to her. On that day, men will come forth in sundry bodies that they may be shown their works. So he who does an atom's weight of good will see it, and he who does an atom's weight of evil will see it. Now, Allah says that some of the verses are allegorical and some are decisive, correct?
Correct.
Yes, sir.
So all we're doing, we're not trying to interpret, give an interpretation. We're doing word clearing and seeing if we can get a better understanding of the text by using the Holy Qur'an. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's look at the universe for a minute. The universe represents a collection of languages that Allah uses to communicate spiritual and mental truths through the study and understanding of symbols and equations. Can we agree on that?
Yes.
Okay. In the lecture, The Time and What Must Be Done, The Great War, where the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was wearing a red garment, he spoke about the significance of speaking, the scientists speaking the language of formulae. Do we remember that?
Yes.
Okay.
No, sir.
Formulae and equations are the same thing. So when
Which
we look at
lecture was it?
that's called the lecture was called The Time and What Must Be Done, The Great War. It wasn't The Time and What Must Be Done series. This was a lecture that was done at Mas Mariam.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Yes, sir. That was February 14th, 2010.
Thank
Great
you, brother.
War.
That's the actual fact. That's the stable data. The minister speaks about the language of the formulae and equations. A formulae is the use of symbols to explain a universal unseen principle. It's really the language of Allah in the form of symbols. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So physics, mathematics, and the sciences are all languages, and they're rooted in the primary language, which is called mathematics. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
And here's where we come to what's called creation is the demo kit of Allah. So demo means, it's short for demonstration. It's an act of showing one's understanding of something practical. Means, for example, with a clay demo or demo kit. I'm hearing some background noise. If everyone can please mute your phones. Thank you. In the student hat course, he says any part of the mind or any term in Scientology can be demonstrated on a clay table. Okay, and I found it interesting. He always talks about clay table and using the clay. And Allah says in the Holy Qur'an that man is created from clay. So we have there's another correspondence between the use of clay in Scientology and clay being mentioned in the Holy Qur'an. But the main thing is whatever we study, we can study that concept in the form of a three-dimensional object. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm sorry, can I ask a question?
Sure. Who is that?
This is Sister Ashdeen.
Okay.
So are you equating the formulae used by the scientists with the three-dimensional demonstration in clay on a clay table?
You can say that because look at a formula. Okay. For example, if we take the formula C equals pi times D, and D stands for diameter, and C stands for circumference, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a formula. So if we know pi is 3.141, and we know the diameter of the Earth is 7,926, by doing that calculation, it'll give us 24,895.56, which rounds up to 24,896 miles. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so that formula is a demo kit that's used in the language of mathematics.
Okay.
You can take that same formula and you can, like if you put that on paper, that's two-dimensional, but there's a way that you can represent that same concept in 3 dimensions. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. The words of God, and this is from the Holy Qur'an, the words of God are so numerous. We are here told that the sea would be exhausted if it were to serve as ink for writing them. In fact, everything created is a word of God according to the Holy Qur'an, and things created know no end. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything can be demonstrated if you work at it, and just working on how to demonstrate it or make it into clay and labels brings about renewed understanding. This is from what's called the student hat course. This was something I had started, but then when COVID hit, I didn't complete it. So now I'm going back to finish the student hat. Excellent course. If you go to Scientology.org, they offer a free course in word clearing. It's called the Study Tech. Okay. Word clearing by itself will have your mind doing leaps and bounds with regards to education and learning and retention and bringing the information from short-term to long-term memory. It's an excellent course for the low price of free. Does that make sense?
Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, sir.
Walaikum salam. Is that Brother Robin?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, brother.
I was on staff and connected to the church for about 3 years in Atlanta. From what I was told by the Sea Org, there have been cases of people going clear just off word clearing.
Praise be to Allah. There you go. Because really, that's part of why we are in the mental state we are now. We have a lot of misunderstood words in our mind. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sir, can we get the site again, please?
Can someone type in that in the chat box, Scientology.org? Now, I'm gonna give you some data on this to show and prove what I'm saying. Have you ever been told something about someone that was untrue
Yes.
As a result, it affected you emotionally, and then you were angry against that person.
Teach.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So for many years or many months or whatnot, you had animosity towards another person, and the information was not even true. So you had a misunderstanding of them, correct?
Yes.
Now watch how this works. In Buddhism, one of the things that the Buddha said was having anger towards someone else is like drinking poison with the thought of making the other person sick.
That makes sense.
Okay. What happens is this: when we carry emotions around with us, the aberrated thought produces an imbalance in the hormones of the body. And so the thought gets converted to chemistry, and the chemistry produces the psychosomatic illnesses. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
So some of us have illnesses,
Yes, it does.
and the illnesses are rooted in misunderstoods. And for some, if you clear up the misunderstood, the illness would go away. Does that make sense?
Yes. Brother Lukman, is there any way possible you could put a PowerPoint of what you just stated? I would love to go over it again for study, but I know you can't do it now, but maybe in the future.
I already have one, brother. I'll look for that one specifically, and I'll put it on the YouTube channel. Tonight's, all these go on the YouTube channel, so you can go watch them at your convenience.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Brother Robin, go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. And if all the believers remember that the minister made us sign a form called a Form 4, which is your reinstatement, when we all had to, how can I say, come back to the nation, recommit. When you're found outside of the law and put out, when you return, you sign that Form 4. And on that Form 4, it says that, and I'm paraphrasing it, but it says the infraction that you committed was as a result of a gross misunderstanding.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. That's the data.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Assalamu alaikum.
Sister
Brother
Angela.
Luke.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Okay, so while you were talking, I went back and I recalled the time when this was all so connected, all by the grace and mercy of Allah, even mentioning the Form 4. The talk that we had in Chicago, when because at the end of the seminar, that's when he gave the entire nation amnesty. And then after that, we received the Form 4. So while you two were talking, I noticed the minister wanted us to master how to rise above emotions into the thinking of God, not treat people a certain way of pain that's plaguing us, whether we are aware about it. So it became very clear to me that a clear in Islam would be a person that can think like God. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Someone else was about to speak right before Sister Angela. Who was that?
Sister Linda, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Loud and clear.
Oh, yes, sir. I'm sorry, but can you put the link to or tell me the name of the YouTube channel? I have a next conference call that I must be on, and I have to leave.
I will pull it up at. Oh, you have another call to go to?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's
I'm a secretary.
Supreme Wisdom meets Supreme Technology. And then you go to the YouTube channel, you'll see right now we have about 20, there's probably about 20 on there right now. I currently have about 160. There's probably over 400 hours of information.
Yes, sir. So Supreme Wisdom meets Supreme Technology.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me. And inshallah, I'll meet with you at the next meeting.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum salam. Okay. If a demo kit represents, quote, an act of showing one's understanding of something practical, then this can also be used to qualify the above statement that creation is a demo kit of Allah. Allah says in the Holy Qur'an, in the creation of the heavens and the earth, and the alternation of the night and the day, there are surely signs for men of understanding, correct? So does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Seest thou not that Allah sends down water from the clouds, then makes it go into the earth in springs, then brings forth therewith herbage of various hues, then it withers so that thou seest it turn yellow, then he makes it chaff. Surely there's a reminder in this for men of understanding. So there's many ayats in the Holy Quran where Allah gives us something from creation and then says that there's something in this for men of understanding. It's another way of saying that this is a demo kit. There's something in here for us to study that'll give us a deeper understanding of a universe, but give us a deeper understanding of ourselves. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Brother Lukman, can you share that link to the word clearing again?
Scientology.org.
Oh, it's free courses, right?
Yes, that's all the free courses. There's probably about between 10 and 15 courses there, but all of them are free. But the study text is the one specifically.
Okay, yes, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. So now so the question is, if any part of the mind can be represented by a demo kit, can we say that the mind of Allah can be represented by his creation?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. Now, in Arabic, the word sign is ayat. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
We read ayats, but the translation, ayat means a sign, it means a miracle, but it also means a model. So when we're talking about clay table, what are we making? Aren't we making models?
Yes.
Okay, so an ayat is synonymous with the word model. So in the preparation of a demo kit, one is taking a concept and illustrating it in 2 dimensions in a drawing or 3 dimensions in modeling. So a model and an ayat is the same thing. So the demo kit of Scientology can correspond to the ayat of the Holy Qur'an. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So we can say the parable of the bee, but could we not also say the demo kit of the bee?
Yes. It's interchangeable.
The study of the bee is a demo kit, yes?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So when we deal with the shaking, the word shaking in Arabic is zelzal. And it's derived from the same word as shock of the hour. So the word shock and the word zilzala, oh people, keep your duty to your Lord, show you the shock of the hour is a grievous thing. Shock means a state of commotion or agitation. So are we talking about that word grief that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was speaking about when he was speaking about the divine destruction of America? Yes?
Yes.
I mean, look at what's taking place. If you read that shock of the hour, it describes what men and women will be doing. Men will appear as if they're intoxicated, but they won't be.
Right, but they won't be.
So now every day you hear the news, how do men appear in the news with the crazy thing that men are doing today? Women will giving suck will drop their child, correct?
Yes.
That's right.
Look at what women are doing with their children. So is the shock of the hour here? Are we already in it? Is the
Yes,
question.
we're in it. Definitely.
So the word zalzala means difficulties, trials, and afflictions. So now, in mathematics, you have what's called the law of substitution. And what that means is if two variables have the same value, you can substitute one for the other. Does everyone understand that?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Is there anyone that does not understand that? I don't mind explaining it.
I got it.
Okay. So when we say the shock of the hour, we can substitute the word shock for difficulty, the difficulty of the hour, the trials of the hour, the afflictions of the hour. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Everyone on this call is going through a difficulty, a trial, or an affliction, yes?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The only difference is we are in the oven, but one like the Son of Man is in the oven with us, keeping it cool. Yes. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Brother Robin.
Yes, sir. I just thought of when you said that. Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Well, when you look at the wisdom and the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in guiding us to this text, but you also see that every move the minister has made was originated by Allah and Master Prophet Muhammad to the messenger. He gave us a prayer which describes what the technology will do for us in this hour. It's called the refuge prayer. He says, I seek refuge in Allah from anxiety and grief. We seek thy refuge from a lack of strength and laziness. We seek thy refuge from cowardice and niggardliness. We seek thy refuge from being overpowered by debt. And the definition of debt is sin and the oppression of men. Suffice thou me that which is lawful, keep away from me that which is prohibited. And with thy grace make us free from one is what is besides thee. Everything described in that prayer is what the technology of Dianetics and Scientology, which when used with your Islam, produces. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam. Now, is the shaking and the shock, is that part of the separation? The Bible talks about the wheat and the tare, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's look at this. Allah says in the Holy Qur'an, if a wound has afflicted you, a wound like it has also afflicted the disbelieving people. And we bring these days to men by turns, that Allah may know those who believe and take witnesses from among you. And Allah loves not the wrongdoers, and that he may purge those who believe and deprive the disbelievers of blessings. Y'all still with me?
Yes, sir.
Now, watch this. We're going to do some word clearing. So what could be the wound that afflicts both people? Both the believers and the disbelievers get wounds. Everyone's going to get a wound. What could be meant by bringing by turns? What could be meant by purging? What could be meant by depriving? So we're going to take key words from this ayat, do word clearing, and see if it lines up with the tech of Dianetics. So the word wound is karahun, means bent to invent or think up. Okay. And the wound afflicted connects us with the words insanity, madness, or mentally deranged. Now, all those words are synonymous with aberrated, correct?
Yes, sir.
Could we say that all those words are synonymous with restimulated?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So is aberration a madness or mental derangement that is invented or something that's thought up?
Yes.
It is. Because it's based on our understanding of something, but our understanding is incorrect. Yes?
Correct.
Okay. It happens by turns. The Arabic word means to change periodically. In Dianetics, you have something called ups and downs in the roller coaster. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have we or do we go through periods of things go well, then we got a trial. Things go well, then we got a trial. Things go well, then we got a trial, correct?
That's correct.
After difficulty comes ease. After difficulty comes ease. After difficulty comes ease, correct?
Up and down the tone scale.
Up and down the tone scale. So you see it. You see it. The word purge is mahasa, and in Arabic, it means to render clear. What a coincidence. The word itself means to render clear or to purify. Now, where it says those in the Holy Qur'an, it says, you will get all of those except my purified ones.
Come on.
That's right.
Purified ones in Arabic is mukalasin, from the root word khalasa. And the word khalasa means to be made clear. Now here's another one. Who was the original man? The Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth. When you do word clearing on the word cream in Arabic, the Arabic word for cream is safwa, and safwa means to be clear. So this word clear is popping up everywhere. Lesson number 1 lays the base of our work, and it gives a student a what? Knowledge of himself?
A thorough knowledge.
Or does it say clear?
A clear knowledge.
Which one is it?
Clear.
Clear.
Okay. So this word clear is popping up in the Holy Quran and our supreme wisdom, and now we can, and when we see it in the text. The word deprive means to wipe out, erase, or exterminate. Okay. So what happens is a wound, if a wound has afflicted you, a wound like it has afflicted, so everyone has to encounter grief. Okay. I can't remember the specific ayat. I want to say it's Surah 15. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking it's 1589, but I'm not 100% sure. But in the footnote, it talks about the gates of hell. And in the footnote, it talks about 7 gates, and it describes 7 types of fire. Each type of fire, when you clear in the Arabic dictionary, each type of fire is describing an emotional tone state between 2.0 and down. So you got 2.0 antagonism. I believe 1.5 is overt hostility, 1.1 is covert, and then you get down into the apathy and grief areas, correct? Okay. So fire, when you clear the word, the different variations of fire from the Holy Quran, all 7 of them are describing aberration.
Wow.
So here you have a wound afflicting everyone. It's going to happen in turns, meaning so some days are going to be good and some days aren't. And that Allah may know those who believe and take witnesses from among you, that, and these trials are done to do what? To purify the believer and to destroy the disbeliever. What did the minister tell us? That when you find something about yourselves or ourselves, if we find a blemish or a spot, what should we do?
It should be and work it. There's a lot of something cool.
But what was his exact words? He said, apply spot remover. This is from the study guides.
Yes.
He did say rejoice. Yes, he did say rejoice, to apply spot remover. Okay, go ahead, Brother Robin.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to add, as when I remember Sister used the term rising above emotion from our study guide. And you just spoke on the tone scale. You said rising above emotion into the thinking of God. Well, you just explained that at 2.0 on the tone scale is the anger band. which is a reactive mind state. There is no thought. It is only emotion and reaction. But when you rise above that anger state into the various higher levels of the tone scale, you gain more control and your analytical mind becomes more empowered. And that is the thinking of God, because you are able to calculate and make decisions above that 2.0 band. So the rising above emotion into the thinking of God is a direct reflection of the tone scale 2.0 and above.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Walaikum salam. True indeed. Yes, sir. So can we see how the fire is necessary for both people?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
But now we're gonna provide a demo kit. We're gonna deal with some science to show what fire does and why it's necessary, and we're gonna find the equivalent. There's a little short video, but when you're watching the video, apply it to self. Okay.
Giant sequoias are the largest trees on Earth. They can grow for more than 3,000 years. But without fire, they cannot reproduce.
The giant sequoias really are born of fire. Fire gives them three things they need for regeneration. The first one is it punches a hole in the forest. That allows there to be more light and more water for the sequoia seedlings. The second thing it does is it heats the cones up in the mature sequoia trees without harming the trees. And those cones open up. And there's a rain of seeds on the ground. And the final thing it's done is it cleared away all the leaves that have built up, because sequoia seeds need to hit bare mineral soil or they can germinate and survive well. Then the winter storms come in and bury them in a blanket of snow. Then when the spring comes, they have the ideal conditions. It's warmer, it's really wet, and those seeds will take off and make up seedlings.
From their birth among the ashes, these seedlings have become the groves we see today. With trees nearly 300 feet tall.
Over 3,000 years, think of what a giant sequoia has seen. You know, how many times did Native Americans sit at the base, have lunch, look up and marvel at the crown of the sequoia? And now we're doing it again today. It's humans just living their lives under these trees for millennia.
All right. Did you hear the hidden messages?
Yes, sir.
Let's look at it for a split second. It makes a hole. The fire is necessary for the trees to grow. First thing it does is it makes a hole in the forest to provide an avenue for water and sunlight. So the trials we go through sometimes are necessary to get us to a point where we can get everything moved out the way so we can reconnect to the source. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then it said what? It heats up the mature part of the tree. Okay. And causes the cones to open up and rain seeds. So we have to look at our trials from a mature standpoint. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Because the child in us will never see the reason for the trial. We have to look at our trials from the standpoint of rising above our emotions into the mind of thinking of God, and look at the trial from the standpoint, okay, what am I supposed to learn from this? And then it clears away, the fire clears away the leaves. Meaning what? It clears away the old way of doing things, the old thoughts, the old concepts, the old ideas, so that the new lessons that we can draw upon will take root in a new mindset. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
We have to be able to put new wine in a new wineskin. We can't put it in an old wineskin, correct?
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
Okay. So then what happens is we go through the trial, and then winter buries the seeds in snow. There are some trials we went through years ago, and then certain things are buried, and then certain events take place that do what? It produces the necessary weather for us to reconnect with something that happened 5, 2, 7, 10 years ago. And we say, oh, that's why I went through that.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Some things we went through years ago, and it's not just till recently we say, you know what? I'm glad I went through that. I don't want to go through it again, but I'm glad I went through that. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So we can use the tree and the fire as a demo kit to understand, if we look back at some of the most painful points in our life, could we not say those are the times that we learned and grew the most?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Now, what is an earthquake? Let me pull up this video real quick. This is another short one. Where are you? That video is right here.
Here's how you.
Okay. You see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Beat any criminal thug who dares attack you in
Let me
10
get past
seconds
the
or less.
commercial.
This works even if he's big.
Trembles or rocks. Earthquakes are very common. Hi, I'm Emerald Robinson, and in this What Is video, we're going to examine earthquakes. An earthquake is an event in which the earth suddenly shakes, trembles, or rocks. Earthquakes are very common. About 900,000 happen worldwide every year. To understand how an earthquake happens, we need to review plate tectonics. Geologists think that the top layers of the earth, called the crust and the mantle, are broken into large pieces or plates. The places where these plates meet are called faults and are where most earthquakes occur. This is because tectonic plates move very slowly at a rate of about 1 to 2 inches per year. When one plate is pushed beneath another, or when two plates move alongside of one another, friction can cause them to become stuck together. When the force that moves the plates is enough to overcome the force holding them together, the plates can break apart suddenly, sending shock waves through the earth. The place where the earthquake is actually generated is often hundreds of feet below the surface and is called the quake's focus. The point on the surface of the earth directly above the focus is called its epicenter, and usually is where the earthquake is the strongest and where most damage occurs. Seismologists, scientists who study and try to predict earthquakes, used to use the Richter scale to compare the size of earthquakes. But since 1979, the more precise moment magnitude scale has been used to measure the strength of the waves that move through the earth during an earthquake. The stronger the quake, the higher the number. The most severe earthquake on the MMS earned a 9.5. Earthquakes are changing the face of our planet one shake, rattle, and quake at a time. So engineers must create buildings able to withstand their force, while scientists become more accurate at predicting them.
For thousands of pounds to ended.
Now, did you notice that she mentioned 9,000 between 1980 and 1995? I thought about swimming 9,000 miles in the time period of 1980 to 1981. Around the time period that the nation began to be rebuilt, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then 1995 was what?
Million Man March.
Now, wasn't that an earthquake?
Definitely.
Didn't that send out shockwaves?
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Now I'm gonna break this down. I hear something in the background. Can everyone put your phone on mute, please? Thank you. Okay, so when you look at the demo kit, we're gonna just do a quick synopsis to show the correlation between the video we're looking at, the tech, and ourselves. Okay. So earthquakes are based on the relationship between two plates producing friction around a fault. Okay, let's look at the two plates as the analytical mind and the reactive mind. Does that make sense?
Teach, man. Teach.
And when you look at the word fault, fault translates into something that we do that we wish that we didn't do, correct? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Teach, man. Teach, Muhammad.
So we have
Yes, sir.
friction within ourselves because we have these, as the Bible says, these two minds warring inside of us, yes?
Yes.
The two plates could represent those two minds. So here we use the earthquake as a demo kit to understand the mind, how the mind operates. A fault is just a weakness, physical or intellectual imperfection or impairment, okay? Well, the world, the earth has faults beneath the surface, correct?
Teach, man.
We have faults beneath the surface,
Yes, sir.
okay? So the friction causes the plates to become stuck together. Where's the word stuck used in the text?
Stuck on the
Stuck
time
on the
track,
track.
sir.
Stuck on the
Stuck.
time
Teach,
track.
man.
Stuck on the
Teach,
time
Muhammad.
track. So
Teach,
the plates
man.
get stuck, and when the plates get stuck, what happens? So when we are stuck on the time track, two minds, past and present, exist in the same time. So now we're in April 2023, but part of our mind is stuck in 1975 or 1980 or 1985, correct?
That's right.
Correct.
That's called aberration.
Yes.
Okay. And the shock waves that reverberate out translates to restimulation, yes?
Yes. Very much so.
So now the focus is under the surface, but the epicenter is at the surface, correct?
Yes, sir.
And so you see the building shaking, right? But the building shaking
Teach,
is a
Muhammad.
manifestation of something that's taking place under the surface, yes?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So the focus is the point of origin, which corresponds to the basic on the chain. Because the basic is deep below the surface, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
But
Yes.
our outward manifestation is based on what? It's based on the basic, which is under the surface.
Yes.
The Bible says in the book of Romans, chapter 1, verse 20, for the invisible things of this world from the beginning are clearly seen through the things that are made. When we see an aberrated individual or when we are aware of aberration within ourselves, we are coming face to face with something that's coming deep from within. That is an earthquake. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Teach, man.
So the epicenter could be called the point that produces the dramatization. Is this making sense?
Yes,
Yes.
it is.
Yes, it is.
So the event takes place at one location and produces tremors in another. How many times have we been aberrated and then our aberrated went on to other people? How many times have we been aberrated and we cussed someone else out and they had nothing to do with why we were upset?
Go ahead.
Come on, man.
So our earthquake produced tremors in other locations.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Good teaching.
Now let's translate this into text.
Been there, done that.
In Dianetics page 315, it says the engram bank becomes severely distorted by painful emotion, and the areas of painful emotion become severely distorted by physical pain elsewhere. You have the focus that's under the surface. You have the epicenter, which is on the outside or at the surface, but the tremors produce waves where other buildings distant from the epicenter become damaged, correct?
Yes.
Okay. The elsewhere, if we translate it to self, could be in reference to our psychosomatic illnesses. So the pain in the joints, not being able to walk up to the store, right?
Yes, sir.
Illnesses, the heart registering, it says the pulse registers more than 32. Does anyone know what that means? A pulse registering more than 32?
Dead.
In the field of science, in the field of, years ago, I worked as a paramedic. When you take a blood pressure, you have what's called the systolic number and the diastolic number. So for example, if you have a blood pressure of 120/80, if you subtract those two numbers, 120 subtract 80 is what?
40.
40 is your pulse pressure. In holistic medicine, whenever you have a pulse pressure over 32, that's a sign that there's an unseen illness that's present in the body. Pulse pressure is used more in holistic medicine than it is in regular medicine. But the pulse pressure is the difference between the systolic and the diastolic. And if you look in the problem book, in the problems, it's talking about the wife of the uncle, her pulse registers more than 32. And then I think the other uncle, his pulse registers more than 32. And then if you look at all those illnesses that are described in problems number 1, number 2, I think in number 5, those are almost identical to the illnesses that are described in Dianetics.
Teach, brother.
One.
Teach that.
Galaxy A12. Go ahead. I see your hand up, Galaxy. Who is it?
Oh, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Yes, sir. This is Brother Marcus.
Okay, yes, sir.
You said, yes, sir. You said so much, but I just wanted to chime in. And basically, when you were talking about what was going on under the earth that would show up as the earthquake on top of the earth or on top of the ground, and you just brought up in my mind in the Supreme Wisdom book where it asks, why does Muhammad and any Muslim murder the devil? And it says, because he is 100% wicked and will not keep and obey the laws of Islam. He's like a snake of the grafted type. So Muhammad learned that he could not reform the devil, so they had to be murdered. And that just simply, to me, means that you got to go into that reactive mind with the help of an auditor. And we can't reform those past hurts and pains on the time track. So we have to intentionally murder those engrams with the help of an auditor, or else we're going to sting somebody else in the mosque, on top of the ground, at the house, at school, at work, etc. And continue. Thank you so much.
Praise be to Allah. And how many devils do we have to kill or murder?
We need to bring and present 4 at one time.
That's right.
Because everywhere we go, we bring our devils with us, but we don't present them, do we?
Come on, man.
Come on, teach Muhammad. Teach.
You don't know my devils. Brother Lukman's not clear.
Come on now.
Brother Lukman crazy as hell. I might appear
Go
clear
ahead.
on the video.
Yes, sir.
But
Go ahead.
Brother Lukman is aberrated.
Yes, sir.
But now when you go in
Ditto,
Dianetics book
ditto.
1, if you go into the chapter dealing with the demons, he says some people had as many as 4 demons. So he said 4 demons, we say 4 devils.
Come on, man.
Yes, yes, yes.
How long is the time track? L. Ron Hubbard says the time track is
76 trillion
years long. Where did he get that
Right.
number?
That's right.
Teach.
That's right, brother. That's right.
Okay.
Teach.
That's right.
So now with regards to the engram bank, he said distorted by physical pain. Distorted thought produces emotional chemical imbalances, which ill affects the body by producing disease. Why are we suffering? Why do women live longer than men? Every time we experience a stressful situation throughout our entire life, our body produces a chemical called adrenocorticotropic hormone. It's known as ACTH. In Dianetics book 1, L. Ron Hubbard says that ACTH is like a glue that keeps the engram stuck. You're pretty clear. I'm paraphrasing it. The chemical is produced by the body when the body is and the mind is under stress or duress. But now what happens is if this chemical stays in the body for a prolonged period of time, it begins to diminish the immune system. And when you diminish the immune system, you facilitate an individual becoming sick or ill. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Scientists have done studies on this, and they realize that there is a way to get ACTH out of the body. And guess how you do it?
Come on. Come on.
Through crying.
Praying,
Crying.
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 Tears of grief and tears of joy have 2 different chemistries. So when we're audited and we're producing, we release and we're getting rid of charge. We're actually getting rid of ACTH. And that's why we go through a whole box of Kleenex when we're crying. You get one of the real good crying type cries. And why we feel better after being audited and why we feel lighter. Because it's true, we were carrying around baggage. We were carrying around charge. And the more we get this charge out of the body, our body begins to heal. Men are told not to cry.
Come on, man.
And what happens is, there's 2 other books. There's one book called Deadly Emotion. And they have discovered that in women that hold on to emotion can suffer from fibromyalgia, lumps in the breast, and problems with the womb. Men suffer from high blood pressure and illnesses around the prostate. So repressed grief, when we hold in grief, that can cause sickness and illness. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And if you go into the Holy
Yes,
if you go into the Holy Qur'an in Surah number 12, it speaks about how the father of Joseph, it said that he repressed grief. And they said, because you continue to think about, let's get the actual facts. Let me get the actual facts on that. Go ahead, Sister Ania, while I find that.
What surah? What ayah?
I'm pulling it up right now, Brother Salam. Go ahead, Sister Ania. You're on mute.
Yes, sir. This was in regard to the pulse pressure.
Yes.
The difference between the systolic and diastolic. They more often than not give the normal blood pressure as being 120/80, and that's a difference of 40. So that means that what they say is normal actually means that there's already sickness occurring in the body, according to what you told us. So if it's more than 32, there's sickness somewhere inside the body. So that's something that we should, you know, all of us should check our blood pressure and see what our, and if we have, you know, if we've been going along thinking that we've got normal pressure because it's 120/80 or in that range, then maybe we need to go get a checkup.
Well, listen, Anya, in holistic medicine, this is how holistic medicine works. If I'm a holistic doctor and we're talking about Chinese medicine, holistic medicine in the East and whatnot, if I'm a doctor and I'm your family doctor, every month that your family is healthy, you pay me a salary. If anything happens and you call me, I come, I fix the problem, I get paid my salary. If I don't fix the problem, I don't get paid. Does that make sense? So I'm paid as long as you're healthy. That's how Western medicine works. Western medicine keeps us sick because that's how Western medicine gets paid.
Yo,
They
brother,
don't
look
want us
on.
healthy because then they don't get paid. They don't want us fasting. Okay.
Aren't you slow?
But now let me share this with you. This is Surah 12, ayat numbers 84 and 85. This is Dianetics right here. Watch this. And he turned away from them and said, "Oh, my sorrow for Joseph." And his eyes were filled with tears on account of grief. Then he repressed grief. Okay. He held the grief in. That's charge, correct?
Correct.
Okay. They said, "By Allah, thou wilt not cease remembering Joseph," restimulation, chronic restimulation, "till thou art prey to disease, or thou art of those who perish." That's the test right there. Repressed grief causes disease and then death. What do we say? Spiritual sickness, eventually, spiritual death eventually becomes what?
Physical death.
Dianetics, the Holy Qur'an, and what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has taught us all have ARC.
Brother Lukman,
Go ahead, Brother Salam.
the blood pressure they told us as 120/80, they have been saying that's a normal blood pressure. But according to our teachings, anything above 32 is abnormal, right?
Yes, sir.
So what would be a basic normal blood pressure for us?
Like if someone's diastolic was 90, then their systolic would be maybe 120. That's a difference of 30. And here's some more data. For those that drive a lot, what wears out an engine quicker, city miles or highway miles?
City miles.
Why?
You're constantly going and stopping, going and stopping.
Okay.
Highway miles, you're constantly moving steady.
Okay. You're moving at a steady pace, so there's not a lot of back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, correct?
Yes, sir.
Apply the same principle to the heart. If
What
your
you
heart
mean?
is constantly beating at these extremes, what are we doing to the heart? Why does the uncle's heart beat 78 beats per minute and it killed him at 45 years of age? Because he's in the wilderness in North America living other than his own self. So what is his heart doing? He's stressed the hell out.
Come on, man. Come
But
on.
if we keep that, if we have a state of serenity where our heart is not going back and forth between the extremes, we actually give longevity to our heart. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So we're putting too many city miles on our heart and not enough highway miles.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Brother Robin.
Yes, sir. Well, there's 2 points, and thank you, man. This is so powerful, man. This is very powerful. I feel like this is the same feeling I felt when I first walked into the mosque and I heard my first lecture. The same type of energy. Yes, sir. I just want to make 2 points. You talked about charge, and you said that negative charge would produce negative effects in our bodies. Well, I start thinking about where have I heard that word charge? Well, we were given general orders. In our general orders, we're taught, take charge of this post and all temporal property in view, which is in yourself. But if you change one word, not necessarily change it, but alter, if you say, take charge from this post and from all temporal property in view, that's like a message inside of our inside of our general orders. And that auditing with the teaching will keep us in general order. Well, I want to read this from the Quran. You just read a verse from the Quran, and this, tell me what this sounds like to you. This is the 15th surah, 45th ayat, and it's section 4 entitled Mercy for the Righteous. It says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Surely those who keep their duty are in gardens and fountains. Enter them in peace, secure. And we shall, not we will, not we did, we shall root out whatever of rancor
is in their heart,
is in their breasts, and brethren, and on raised couches, face to face. Toil afflicts them not therein, nor will they be ejected therefrom. Inform my servants that I am the forgiving, the merciful. That sounds like somebody was doing some auditing to me.
some processing face to face.
Come on now, face to face, black man, face to face.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And matter of fact, Brother Robin, we have parsed those ayats in Arabic.
Yes,
and
sir.
it actually describes auditing on a much deeper level as well.
Allahu Akbar.
The Arabic brings us right there, brother.
Yes, sir. Allahu Akbar.
Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So a quick summary. An earthquake can be used as a demo kit to understand the way in which our mind operates. Could we agree on that one?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So the earthquake seized them, and they were motionless bodies in their abodes. That's Surah 7, verse 78. Motionless means without movement or oppressed. Well, if they're oppressed, isn't that the same as being suppressed?
Yes.
Doesn't that describe grief and apathy?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So when the earthquake seized them, when that aberration seized them, they were stuck in the time track, correct?
Yes, sir.
They were stuck in their grief. In their abode. The word in Arabic means to revolve in one's mind, to think or ponder. They were stuck in their own thoughts, correct?
Yes, sir.
Isn't that what aberration is? For one is stuck in their own thoughts that held down 7?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes.
That's right.
And the emotion seized them and they were oppressed in their mind. We're saying the same thing. So the Holy Qur'an is using allegorical language. We can extract from that through the Arabic and gain an understanding of the text, book 1 Dianetics, correct?
Sir.
Okay. So they're stuck on the time track. So when the earth is shaken with her shaking, the word earth is al-ardu, which also means the netherworld, the underworld. Could we say that that's the reactive mind?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It means situated down or below. So we're talking about tone 2.0 and below, right?
Yes, sir.
The netherworld underneath. So
Yes.
when earth is shaking, see, you can't shake, if someone's on the top, you can't shake that. You can only be shaken if you're down below, yes?
Yes, sir.
Now, all these are actually definitions from an Arabic dictionary. These aren't words I just added. This is from an Arabic dictionary. The world of the dead. Watch this. The aberrations we have right now, aren't they based on people? Some might be present, but some are no longer present with us. Is that correct?
That's correct. Sir.
Yes, sir.
In the text, those are called valences. How many of us have been told we act just like individuals that have passed away?
Go ahead,
Just
brother.
like Uncle so-and-so or Aunt so-and-so, yes?
Good point.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Okay. In the tech, when you go further down the tech, there's something called the life continuum. And he says that the behaviors we have now are based on behaviors of individuals that have failed, are no longer with us, or have died. Okay. English lesson C1 says, why does he, say again?
Could you repeat that in the continuum, what you said? Could you repeat that, please?
The life continuum, he states that there are certain characteristics we carry on right now as adults are based on people from our past that either failed, they're no longer with us, or they have died.
That's right.
And we carry on those behaviors, those valences.
So what's another name for valence?
Say what?
So then what would be another name for valence?
Acting other than one's own self.
Is there an Arabic word for that?
Not there.
There is, but I'd have to look it up because we have covered it in the past.
Mr. Janice, where are you at?
Yes, jinn. That's a good one.
Ah, jinn. Yeah, that's what I was
Yes,
thinking.
that's a good one. Okay. Go ahead, Brother Robin, before you burst, brother.
Yeah, I just was thinking and what you were saying about theology and the mathematical theology, and you just spoke about the engram and you used the term time. And I'm sitting here thinking, well, when we're auditing and we're dealing with things from the past, which ill affect one in present time, and in Dianetics and Scientology is a study with the teaching, is a study of God or the mind of mind in man and the God in man. That is the theology of time, because time is contained in all engrams, time and pain. So I'm looking at that like, wow. And why did, in the theology of time, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad would take us back and forth down the time track to the history of Yaqub and how it was relevant in present time, back and forth down the time track to the history of Granddaddy Shabazz, to 50,000 years of thinking men, back and forth down the time track, 76 or 66 trillion years ago, a deportation of moon. That is the theology of time. And in each one of those instances was an example, as Mother Tanetta said, of that which was in us that we could not see, which caused us to act other than ourselves. So the engram caused the deportation of moon. The engram caused Shabazz and them to leave the scientists and go into the jungle. The engram caused Yaqub. It ain't no coincidence he playing with two pieces of steel, and when you move from Dianetics to Scientology on the E-meter, you holding two pieces of steel trying to find the germ inside of your mind. It's like this thing is powerful.
Yeah, it is, brother.
So praise be to Allah, man. That just exploded. It's like the Son of Man experimenting on high explosion. There's a lot of explosions taking place on this call, brother.
Praise
a whole
be to
lot.
Allah. Praise
Alhamdulillah.
Praise Allah.
Let's see, we deal with the life continuum. So when you're dealing with Earth, you're talking about low tone. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when things happen in our life and we're at a low tone scale, that's what's producing the usage of opioids right now and suicide, because the fire is being used to purify the believers and to destroy the disbelievers. Those that do not listen to the Messiah that is in our midst are not going to get through the fire.
Yes,
He told us the weapon that would be used, but he also gave us a firefighter's equipment to withstand the heat. To get, does that make sense?
Teach, man.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So the earth also represents the human body. But look at this. It means the pursuits, interests, and pleasures of earthly life as distinguished from spiritual concerns. You have to come out of her. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So shaking is specific to each one. Each one of us has our own special made by Allah, our own individualized trial that we must go through to be purified. Why did God make devil? To show forth and prove that he's all wise and righteous. that he can make a devil which is weak and wicked, give him power to rule the earth for 6,000 years, and then destroy him in one day without falling victim to the devil's civilization. In order to be God, we have to defeat our devil. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And in the language of the text, we have to gain control over our genetic entity. What is the reactive mind? L. Ron Hubbard says the reactive mind, as you go further into the text, the reactive mind is the human body. It's this physical body that we exist in, this organic computer that we wear as a suit. We're at war with this thing because this thing wants to control us and we're supposed to control it, yes?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, so these factors are caused to tremble or be restimulated. This also happens in a controlled manner called auditing. So in auditing, the auditor is causing earthquakes, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
but
sir.
it is a controlled demolition.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's a
Brother, you
controlled
better.
demolition. So then what happens? And the earth brings forth her burdens. What happens during auditing? What is the result of re-stimulation of auditing? The earth, the mind, brings forth her burdens, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
The Arabic word is karaja. And the word karaja means to drive out, to flow, or to recover. What are we trying to get? We're trying to recover attention units, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
L. Ron Hubbard says the file clerk is able to recover. There's the word again, recover, and deliver to the auditor only so many painful emotion engrams or physical pain engrams at a time. We're looking to recover certain things. In Dianetics, it says the engram bank becomes severely distorted by painful emotion, and the areas of painful emotion become severely distorted by physical pain elsewhere. Okay. We're going to look at this last one, and then we're gonna land this airplane or land this baby plane. So if we use the law of substitution, the engram bank, the earth, we're combining this statement by L. Ron Hubbard with the language from the earthquake demo kit. The engram bank, which is the earth, becomes severely distorted, fault lines, yes, by painful emotion, that's the shaking, and the areas of painful emotion, epicenter, become severely distorted, that's the destruction, by physical pain elsewhere, which are the tremors. Does that make sense?
yes, sir.
You see the connection between the earthquakes and how the earthquake represents our own mind?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Bring forth the burdens. Well, that's what auditing does. It brings forth the burdens, right?
That's right.
The word in Arabic is athkala, which means to be heavy, oppressive, distress, or gravity. Doesn't L. Ron Hubbard use the word heavy engrams?
Mm-hmm.
So bring forth the burdens is the same as bringing forth the heavy engrams, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Heavy facsimile is another term used in Dianetics. Heavy facsimile and heavy engram are the same thing. A heavy facsimile is an experience complete with all perception, emotions, thoughts, and efforts occupying a precise place and space and a moment in time. It can be an operation, an injury, a term of heavy physical exertion, or even death. This is from the Dianetic Technical Dictionary. From this point, I'm going to move really, really fast just so we can finish this. So when the mind, could everyone put your phones on mute, please? I just hear something in the background. Thank you. When the mind, earth, is re-stimulated, shaking, either by trials or through auditing, which is a controlled demolition, kind of like what they did with 9/11, a controlled demolition, the heavy facsimiles, which are the burdens, are brought forward, brought out, or manifested. Do we see the relationship between the text and the ayat from the Holy Qur'an?
Yeah.
Okay. And man says, what has befallen her? So the word for man is al-insan. And if you notice, it's one letter away from being insane. I just thought that was interesting. Another word from the same root word means companion, to take in consideration, or friendly atmosphere. Well, isn't that describing the work of the auditor? Yes, the companion.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
The companion says, what has befallen her? Well, that's what the auditor is saying. It means a close friend, friendly, kind, civil, polite. Well, that sounds like it's coming from the auditor's code, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes, sir.
Those are the characteristics of an auditor.
That's right.
And man says, what has befallen her? The question is, well, what has happened to her? English lesson number C1 says, why does he fear now that he's a grown man? Because he was taught to eat the wrong food when he was a child, yes?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so when you look at that, how it correlates to the text, why does Luqman act a certain way now as an adult? Because Brother Luqman was taught to eat the wrong food when he was a child. Allegorical language to mean something happened to Luqman as a child, and he's still manifesting the characteristic as an adult. He just doesn't know why he's manifesting it. And that's why Brother Luqman's crazy in 2023.
Yes, sir. Hey, brother, cancel. Go ahead.
I wish it was that easy, brother. Who is iPhone?
Janice Muhammad.
Alaikum, Sister Janice.
Wa alaikum salam.
Yes, ma'am. You got a question?
No, sir.
Okay, I see your hand up.
I'm sorry.
No apology necessary. Okay. So what has befallen her? On that day, she will tell her news. Well, here the word she, referring to the earth, could represent the time track or the tone scale. Now watch this. There's a real key point coming up here in a minute. The time track or tone scale will reveal something with regards to trials, difficulties, and burdens that are being carried, which have been oppressive. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
When you locate someone on the tone scale, you know everything there is to know about other aspects of their life. If you've studied Science or Survival, which is the book that comes after Dianetics, you have that expanded chart. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is said is just as important as how it is said. Go ahead, Brother Robin.
Yes, sir. Man, you said so much, brother. Man, almost. All right. I'll just go with this. When you talked about the tone scale, when you talked about the chart of human evaluation, and it has different letters on there. And I found it interesting. There was 26 letters, just like in the lessons. But I ain't gonna get into that right now.
The 26 letters?
26 letters from A to Z. So, but we get in that later. But here's the piece. Science of survival is also called prediction of human behavior. Why is it prediction of human behavior? Well, we were always taught by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad that there was something called a radio in the head where we could tune in. See, it's not a coincidence that the tone scale chart is parallel or congruent to each tone is a number. You have 1.5. You have 2.0, which is anger. You know, you have 4.0, which is enthusiasm. The tone scale chart goes into the hundreds. Just like one of my favorite radio stations in Chicago, 107.5 WGCI. L. Ron Hubbard says, I forget the name of it, a lecture series where he says the tone scale is measured by radio waves. And he literally says it's like a radio in your head. Once I know your tone scale, I know what you can do and what you can't do. I know what you will do and what you won't do. I literally can predict your movement once I'm able to identify you on that tone scale. So when we talk about tuning in and the radio in the head, we looking at it right now. So thank you for letting me share that.
So Brother Robin, that goes back to our conversation earlier, where if you have different frequencies on radios, you can communicate with certain people based on the same band of frequency.
That's right. And Brother Lukman, if I may say this, I just want to say this one point. On the lecture series when L. Ron Hubbard, Science of Survival, where he was talking about the insane person, and he said he went to an insane asylum, and there was this one guy in the insane asylum nobody could talk to, and they say he was a psychotic, and he would get violent, and they say nobody could talk to him. So Mr. Hubbard went in the room with him, and he said he spoke to the gentleman. I'm paraphrasing this. He said, "Hey, how are you, sir?" Say the man picked up a chair and slammed it against the wall. So you know what Mr. Hubbard did? He picked up a chair and slammed it against the wall. Say the man sat down and started talking to him like it was his long lost brother. He got on his level and began to speak to him on his level. And it's like when you find someone in anger, you speak to them in anger. Hey, you got, man, I'm tired of this. And what you do? Hey, listen to me. You get on their tone scale, and then all right, then you bring them down. But that's how you communicate with a person on their level. So you like Brother Lukman just said, you have to find their frequency, their radio wave, their tone scale, and match it, and you can communicate perfectly with that person. Thank you so much for letting me share.
Thank you, Brother Robin. Go ahead, Brother Marcus.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to chime in and veggie back on Brother Robin and what you were saying. But what does Hollywood know that both of you all just mentioned about the messenger and the radio in the head and the L. Ron Hubbard and radio in the head? Because you had a movie that came out, I believe, in 1989, where Cuba Gooding Jr. played a very low tone scale, deaf, dumb, and blind type, and they named him Radio. But these are the subtleties that the Caucasians do in Hollywood, and they hold that back. They put the book behind their backs. Matter of fact, they put many books behind their back. And even our brother Spike Lee, God knows who knows what buttons they're pushing with him, because in most cases he's using their money to produce his movies that we love. But even his movie, Do the Right Thing, he had a Dunsky type called Radio Raheem. And Radio Raheem is also that same character as Radio as our brother Cuba Gooding Jr., where it shows us in a deaf, dumb, and blind low tone scale, but the white man is saying that deep below that low tone scale, below the in the Ingram Bank area called the subconscious mind, that we still have the ability to tune in and tune up and come up that tone scale and use the technology that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us about, but didn't teach us about, because it was for another man at another time, called the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Thank you so much.
That's right.
Also keep in mind that Mother Tanetta Muhammad once said in Unveiling the Number 19 that there are scientists in Hollywood and they're going to put this wisdom into the movies.
That's right.
And when people become aware, we would pick up the one assignment we gave last week. I don't know how many of us watched the movie again, but that movie called Limitless that came out in 2011.
Yes, sir.
Just so happened it came out the year that we began to study the tech, was 2011. If you remember, the person took a pill, right? What color was the pill?
It was clear.
Clear. And as a result,
My Christ.
So if you want to see the tech, watch the movie. I don't think it's a coincidence it came out in 2011.
No, sir.
No, sir. There's no such thing as a coincidence.
Exactly. Go ahead, Sister Ania.
What's the name of that movie?
It's called Limitless. It came out in 2011.
Okay.
Go ahead, Sister Ania. You're on mute.
There's somebody, Galaxy A12 has their hand up as well before me.
Oh, he just finished. That's Brother Marcus.
Oh, okay. The person who mentioned mirroring the behavior that L. Ron Hubbard did by throwing the chair, it reminded me when I used to work with our little ones in at a school that I worked at. You know, if we ever spend time with little children or babies, and they make a movement, and oftentimes I would just copy their movement and, you know, make it into a little game. You know, children seem to love that. But I also use that in the school sometimes with, if I had a difficult student and they were acting up and have, you know, throwing a little tantrum, and then I would, whatever move they made, I would mirror that movement with them, and they act all huffy. And, you know, because they're angry.
I like that.
They would make another move because now they're curious to see, is she going to do the same thing again? And each time that whatever move they made, I would, you know, mirror that movement. And then I would start chuckling a little bit, you know, and then by
calm them down.
laughing, it calms them down, and now it turns more into curiosity. They're still trying to act angry, but they're more curious, and eventually they end up laughing as well, and then they come out of it. So that his statement reminded me of that.
Yes, ma'am.
Good
Thank
point.
you, Tanya. All right. Now let's land this thing. What?
Look, man.
Yes, sir, Brother Salam.
You made a statement about Surah 36, Al Insan, and you said that there's a connection with insanity, right? See, the word insanity could be insanity, but also that word insan represents the perfect man. You follow me? So when someone is ordering someone who may be on the term of being insane or going through a trauma experience, trying to extract the M grain out of them, the man that's doing the ordinance is a man that's really perfect. We're supposed to be the perfect one, trying to make those who are undergoing incrime to make them perfect. If it makes sense what I'm trying to say.
Well,
in the word insan, you have the word perfect man.
In the 13 rules of instruction, in rule number 3, it says that what is meant by the fulfillment of our lessons, and it gives a whole description of our lessons being the fulfillment of the beginning of devils, and it gives all these things so that we can become a new and perfect people. Yes.
Yes.
So
okay,
that isn't our supreme wisdom, a perfect people.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Right and exact. So watch this now. What is said and how it is said. In Science of Survival, on page 99. Now, interesting about this is when you look at the chart of human evaluations from Science of Survival, and you read all those columns and you read the top characteristic up near the tone 40, those are describing the attributes of Allah. Go and read the chart and look at how the verbiage of a person is at that tone level, and you'll see the 99 attributes, which is called Al-Asma Al-Husna, or the 99 glorious names of Allah.
Go ahead.
But now, here's how you remember it. 99 attributes, right? Science of Survival, page 99. This is what it says.
Come on.
Probably the most accurate index for the auditor of the preclearest position on the tone scale is speech. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
You know the Holy Qur'an says the same thing?
Go there.
Surah 47, ayat 30 says, and if we please, we could show them to thee so that thou shouldst know them by their marks, and certainly thou canst recognize them by the tone of their speech. Allah knows your deeds. So when you know someone's speech, you know the deeds.
Excellent. Excellent.
So Science of Survival is saying the same thing that the Holy Quran is saying. So listen to what someone's saying, but also listen to how they're saying it.
Yes.
If you study the chart of human evaluations, you'll see a pattern come out. And once you see the pattern, you can detect instantly where a person is on the tone scale by
That's right.
the word choice.
That's right.
Okay. On that day, she will tell her news. We're still talking about auditing. Tell her news. Well, tell means that's where we get the word hadith, or the sayings of the prophet, correct?
Yes, sir.
It means to report or to narrate, and to narrate means to recount. Begin at the beginning and do what? Recount it.
Count it.
Okay. You're telling your news, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the she could represent the subconscious. Sister Ava, may Allah be pleased with her, referred to the subconscious with the feminine aspect, correct?
Yes.
Correct. It means, so news means to get to know thoroughly, to explore, to search, or to investigate. Isn't that what the auditor is doing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
No doubt.
Okay. And then Mukbir is a detective. Well, that's what an auditor is. An auditor is a detective that's exploring, searching, and investigating the time track, yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. We say what? Begin at the beginning and recount it.
Yes.
This is the pre-clear, the earth telling his or her news.
Yes.
As if thy Lord had revealed to her. So again, with the ayats from the Holy Qur'an, can the Lord of the Holy Qur'an correspond to the file clerk or theta of Dianetics? The Lord is Rab, to have command or authority, to raise, to bring up, to be a proprietor.
Brother.
The word Rab is describing what? One that is raising someone on the tone scale.
Oh, brother.
And then we're supposed to do what? Take command of the pre-clear. You and I have to be Rab over the pre-clear. To bring to attention, to bring a person to maturity through nurturing, care, and education. Well, that's what we're doing with the pre-clear. Does the file clerk or theta of Dianetics satisfy any of these characteristics? Yes, they do. So the Rab, by definition, equals the file clerk or theta. That's the question. When he asks for datum by the auditor, he will hand out a datum to the auditor. Let's go a little further. The file clerk works best then when he is selecting data out of a pre-clear's banks to present to the auditor. This is the same definition of Rab. Proprietor is what? One who has control or rights over. Taking command of the pre-clear. That's what the auditor does, yes?
Yes.
By definition of what the minister has given us in study guide number 9, our intimate relationship with Rabbil Alameen, Rab means to nourish the thing stage after stage until it reaches its finished stage, correct? Or perfection. Isn't that what the auditor is doing?
Yes, sir.
Come on, bro.
Yes, sir.
The person stage or gradient by gradient up the tone scale, same thing, yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Teach, brother.
The file clerk is the bank monitor and has control over the time track. As if thy Lord had revealed to her.
Come on, man.
Here we could say that the revelation represents what is hidden on the time track, and file clerk in conjunction with the auditor are those that are receiving the revelation. Through the shaking of the earth, process of auditing, the earth reveals her burdens, meaning her aberrations. Now they come forth in sundry bodies. To come forth is the Arabic word sadara, which means oppression, worries, anxieties, point of origin or source. In Dianetics, that's basic, correct? The word sundry bodies means diverse or fragmented. Diverse bodies, these different valences start coming out of us like the demons came out of Legion, correct?
Go ahead, brother.
So the mind is affected by anxiety, low tone, because it's fragmented. What does the word fragment mean? So you look at sundry bodies. In computer science, having related or associated pieces of stored data disorganized in a way that makes them more difficult to access. We can't access the computer because we got malware. We got
Come on, brother.
True.
That's true. On, brother.
We need virus cleaner.
Go ahead.
So what is the effect of a fragmented mind? Where the individual finds himself possessed of less and less life force. He is losing some of the free units somewhere. And the free units of life force in a society or an individual are the extra surge that is needed to tame North Africa, divide an atom, or reach the stars. And here's where we're going to end it right here. Divide an atom means cracking an atom, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
So we need an increase in our thinking, our life force or theta, in order to crack atoms. This is carried out by removing aberrated thought. That way they are shown their work to behold, to discern, or come into view. We get to see our aberrations now. We know the story. And guess what? As crazy as all of us are in this room, our craziness does not belong to us. That's why the minister says, get rid of guilt, because Allah knew who we were when he chose us.
Go ahead, man.
We are not in the nation because we wrote a letter. Our letters were accepted, even as crazy as we were and as we still are. Allah already knew we were going to be crazy in the future, but he still chose us to be here at this time, correct?
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Oh,
shown their works to do or to act, to put into operation, to install. You install implants. In the language of the supreme wisdom, that's called the needle in the brain, correct?
Go ahead.
In our mannerisms. So we're shown all these things from auditing, and these things don't belong to us. Our mannerisms are not who we are. Okay. In mathematics, and we'll deal with more of this perhaps on Wednesday, a coefficient in mathematics is a number that's used to change a variable. Okay. And who does an atom's weight of good and evil? The atom's weight is talking about sprinkle, tiny particles, or a tiny amount. Mithkala means a heavy burden. Here we go with the heavy engram. And Chiron means good, excellent, advantage, charity, or kindness. So the basic personality is also called attention units.
Teach.
Yes.
Teach, brother.
A study of basic personality in a multivalent subject who had poor memory, no good recalls, and scant imagination disclosed the information that BP, the attention unit called the basic personality, was more able to select out data than an AP, an aberrated personality, as represented by the awake subject. Well, let's deal with that quickly, and here's the end. If good can be represented by attention units, then the atom's weight of good could correspond to the accumulation of units that correspond to sanity.
My God.
So the atom's weight of good, we're talking about sanity. Atom's weight of evil is talking about something else.
Come on, brother.
Word evil is shara, which means wicked, harm, injury, malice, or sin. The accumulation of good leads to sanity. The accumulation of evil leads to aberration. Summary, here's where we land. The study of earthquakes, seismology, can be used to study the principles of aberration. Remember we talked about a mathematical theology?
Yes.
Yes.
So when we take the study of physics and apply it to God and self, we have what's called a seismological theology. The study of self and the study of the nature of God through the study of seismology. Does that make sense?
Hell yeah. Yes, sir.
So the
Yes.
Holy Qur'an is a book of principles, axioms, fundamentals, and theorems that can be used to understand other levels of mathematics, physics, and science and how they apply to the self. Look out into the universe and you're looking at the source from where we came. And as we study the universe, the minister said we are the microcosm in the macrocosm, correct?
That's right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Surah 99 is a good example of marrying the information found in the supreme technology to the eternal wisdom found in the Holy Quran. Do the believers have any questions before we close it out?
Lord have
Go
mercy.
ahead, Brother Robin.
Brother,
And
y'all got
I apologize for being so long on this.
No, that was great, brother. That was great, Black man.
That was phenomenal.
Phenomenal. And I'm serious, man. I'm sitting here trying to hold back tears.
No,
Because
get
what
rid of
you're
that ADTH.
Come on, brother, get rid of all of that stuff. But because I'm sitting here and I'm thinking of when you were talking about the auditor and the pre-clear, and you were talking about the word Lord, Rob, and I think about the story the minister told us what the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, Master Fard Muhammad, the day he left, he said he put a piece of paper in his hand, excuse me. And on that piece of paper was the 23rd Psalms.
Yes.
And when I read that 23rd Psalm, if that ain't talking about auditing, I don't know what the hell it's talking about. It
Come
say
on now.
the Lord or the auditor is my shepherd. I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restores my soul.
Go ahead, man.
He leadeth me through the paths of righteousness for his name's sake.
Yes.
Yea, though I walk through the
Come on,
valley
man.
of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil and no engrams. For
Come on,
thou,
man.
my auditor, is with me.
Come on.
Thy
Yes.
rod, your
That's
tech,
powerful.
this tech, and the staff, they comfort me.
Teach it.
It ain't no coincidence that at the org, they're laborers or the people who man the org is called the staff.
Come on, man.
The staff, they comfort me with this, teaching us how to master this tech. Thou prepare a table for me in the midst of the enemies of
Come
my
on,
path,
man.
the enemies that hurt me, the enemies that plague me. Thou anointest my head with oil with this tech till my cup runneth over.
Go ahead, brother.
Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Brother, Allahu Akbar, thank you for letting me share.
Praise be to Allah, Brother Robin. Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you so much, brother, for sharing what you just, and pardon me, assalamu alaikum, by the way.
Alaikum salam. Go ahead, brother.
But you know, this is an honor and a privilege to be a part of such a monumental and pivotal classroom to help execute what it is that the Honorable Brother Minister Louis Farrakhan had in mind when he came up with the immaculate conception of tying or making a unison between the supreme tech and the supreme wisdom. It's great that our brother Luqman, by the mercy and grace of Allah, took up the banner to try and make the words clear and concise, that we may have no issue whatsoever turning over a new leaf with the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad through the technology that the Honorable Brother Minister Louis Farrakhan deemed would help us to see supreme wisdom in a much brighter light. We're told in the original rules of instruction that the originals are to the labels of Michigan #1. And it tells us that he asked that we may, I'm paraphrasing, but it says that we may remove the many errors from our mind in the past and present, that we may see the light and walk therein. This is exactly what the tech is doing. It's removing all the errors from our minds, that we may see the light, that we may be clear, and that we may be able to walk into that light, which is the thorough knowledge of who we are, the knowledge of the double, the knowledge of time, and the knowledge of what must be done. So all praise.
Allahu Akbar.
It'd be to Allah. Thank you, brother.
Powerful, brother.
Go ahead, Sister Tina.
Yes, sir. I just want to share a cognition. When you said that L. Ron Hubbard said the human body is what do you say, the engram?
The reactive mind.
The reactive mind. The human body is the reactive mind. And the cognition I got was when Allah created himself out of triple darkness. And he created a body for himself. And the pain that he must have gone through in creating that body. And the wobble was there in the beginning because Master Fard Muhammad is the perfection of Allah in person. So now we're being perfected. And proof of that reactive mind is what we lovingly call the moon god. That was aberrated behavior to, do that, even though it worked out. But that was aberrated behavior. If I can't have my way, I'm just going to kill everybody. And Papa Shabazz, with disobeying and wanting to do what he wanted to do, he didn't care. They let him do it, but it worked out. It worked out. It was all in Allah's plan. But that, and then basic is what happens to us in the womb, getting to that basic. And when a baby is born, it comes through the vaginal canal in pain. Right. The mother is in pain. So it just made me think about Allah, his creating himself and the pain he must have gone through, to have that body, which L. Ron Hubbard refers to as the reactive mind. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you,
Sister Tina. Thank you for that. Go ahead, Sister Patricia. You're on mute.
Okay, wait just a second. Yes, sir. You had spoke, you spoke about you speaking and you were saying how we were, I don't know what word you used, but we were still here, even though in our craziness, I think you said. You were speaking on that, and when you was talking about that, it referred me to one of the attributes. I have been writing them down since Ramadan, and I have 30, but this one seemed like it popped out of what you were speaking about because it's talked. May I say it real quick?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Oh, this is one of the attributes of Allah. It says the all forgiving, the one who forgives a lot, the one who is the perfection of forgiveness. He is the one who forgives, regardless of how large the sin is.
Al-Ghafar.
Okay, thank you. Because I've been writing them down and I don't have the name of them all. I'm trying to get the all the attributes with the name. I pulled this off of a website called The Thon. And you know, that right there, I believe can be related to the Dianetics, because when we're here forgiveness, we're given a chance to get ourselves back to the original state on that straight line. And that just, you know, kind of popped out because we had that opportunity, you know, to go back and clear up what we have had I'm sorry, I'm getting tired. Let me stop. I just
No, you're
wanted to
doing
share.
good. You're doing good.
I wanted to share that. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Sister Patricia. Brother Marcus.
Yes, sir. Brother Lukeman, I just wanted to thank you, big brother, for being obedient to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's instruction, for being patient with people like me on this call that's, as you stated earlier, crazy as hell. We thank you for your patience. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for you obeying the Auditor's Code. I'm just so happy that we have this forum and that you had enough of the Supreme God that came to save us, Master Father Muhammad, to do what you're doing. And I just wanted to thank you and thank everybody for their participation and obedience as well. And I'm just honored to be a part of it. Thank you so much. I love you all.
Brother Marcus,
Assalamu alaikum.
are you also Galaxy 812?
Yes, I am, sir.
Okay, all right.
Yes,
I want to
I
make
am.
sure, brother. I want to make sure.
Yes, sir. That's me.
All right, thank you, brother.
Yes, sir. I have two. I know we were talking earlier. I have two phone numbers. Yes, sir. But it's me, brother.
Okay, sir. Sister Sultana.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alhamdulillah. Bismillah. Yeah, so that brought up a lot of
A lot of earthquakes, huh? A lot of
yes, yeah, but in a good way. It reminded me of when a sheikh used to always say to us, only one's not crazy is God. Everybody else is crazy but God. And he said, and why is it that where everybody's crazy but God? He said, because God was able to what? Clear himself of all his engrams. He has none. He's perfected. That's what makes him a perfected. And the perfected man is called the Insan Kamel. And a perfected man is Insan Kamel only when he has done that. Removed all the engrams, and he has all the attributes of Allah. He's actually embodied and living the attributes of Allah. That makes him an Insan Kamel. The Insan is man, but Insan Kamel is the perfected man. Bismillah, alhamdulillah.
Sister Glenda, did you have a question? If not, we're going to go ahead and end this, but I did see your hand go up.
I did, sir. There's something I wanted to ask you on the personal note. Is there any way that I can speak with you, sir? All due respect. Is that out of order? Can I reach you or any other way?
Does it have to deal with the tech?
Yes, it has to do with what you was talking about tonight. Yes, sir.
What we could probably do is at the end of the meeting, you and I can just go. We can meet. We can stay on, and then if you had something you want to discuss about the tech, just let me know, and then I can kind of refer you in the proper direction.
Okay, thank you, sir. Yes,
You're
sir.
very welcome. The last thing I would like to do is bring you to, let me see if I can pull this up real quick. Okay. Let me bring you here. For those that are interested, let me see if I can pull up the right one here. Okay, where is it? Okay, here we are. Okay. This is where the videos will be posted on YouTube. Can everyone see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Supreme Wisdom meets Supreme Technology. These Zoom meetings are uploaded so that if you decide to go back and you want to, if you missed something or you couldn't take the notes, all the Zoom meetings are placed here.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you.
I will put my email in the chat. So if you have any specific questions with regards to the tech, the Dianetics, math, science, physics, doesn't matter, or any other subjects or topics you would like to see covered in the future, just send me a message in the email. I take your suggestions as assignments, and it just motivates me to go and study and get more into the Holy Qur'an and more into the tech. Tonight's Zoom meeting will be uploaded, inshallah, before 9:30. It should be up and present. Okay, so that's what it looks like. Supreme Wisdom meets Supreme Technology. Currently, there's about 20. I went through and counted all of the Zoom meetings, and we have approximately between 150 and 170, somewhere around there. And each one of those are approximately 2 hours. So there's over 340 hours of Islam and Dianetics. Okay. Let me go ahead and put my email in the chat.
Brother Lukman,
Yes, ma'am, Sister Ania.
for the people that are on for the first time, did you want them to put their email in the chat also to add them to your list?
Thank you for reminding me. Anyone who would like to get added to the email, just that way you can receive the Zoom meetings. Put your name, your email in the chat. Also put in your name if you would like to get back to the extension courses, and put your phone number, and I will send that information forward to the appropriate member of the org that will get in contact with you within the next couple of days and get you on course. And then as you're going through your extension courses, when we meet on Sunday and Wednesday, we will assist you if you come up to any ridges or any misunderstood or things about Dianetics you don't understand. Those times are the perfect time to ask your question so we can clear it up and get you. The end result is a gold seal in 2023. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Gold seal in 2023. Okay. Last but not least, Brother Robin, go ahead and get that final word in, and then we're going to close it out. And we will, God willing, Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. We do the same thing, but we deal with the problem book. We deal with mathematics and science specifically. Go ahead, Brother Robin. You're on mute, brother.
Oh,
Look like you're coming out of triple darkness there, brother.
yeah, I am, brother. I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to remind everyone in the group words of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He said that you are spiritual physicians, and he called us saviors. And the title of his Savior's Day lecture 2011, when he unveiled us to the world, was, I will send saviors after them. So I just want us to keep in mind that as we're getting this knowledge and this energy and this rise in tone and life force, use it. Practice being a savior. Get your family members, maybe your children or your spouse or something, and run them up and down the time track. They don't even have to know what you're doing. If you see them looking down or melancholy, just walk up to them and say, hey, can you recall the time we went to Six Flags? Can you recall your favorite birthday party? Can you recall the time when we first met? Or can you recall the time when you first heard the teaching? But move them and bring up that picture. Begin to, sit down with them and practice. The minister, remember when the minister gave us the text? He said, practice, practice, practice. I just want us to be reminded that what Brother Shane said from the Church of Scientology in the meeting with the minister, he said, we can have all the certificates in the world, but if you are not auditing, you're not an auditor, you're just a person with a certificate. So let's qualify ourselves and get back. And if you don't have anybody to audit, get self-analysis or a handbook for pre-clears and audit yourself. You know, so let's just be found, because it's like Islam. Islam is not something you say. Islam is something you do. Dianetics and Scientology is not something you say. It's something you do. So let's get into the doingness and practice being who you are. That's all I wanted to share. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam. Praise be to Allah. Thank you, Brother Robin. I'm going to ask one thing of the believers, and then I'm going to ask, is he still on? Is he still on? Oh, he must have went off. Okay, so I'm going to ask if the believers could, if you could send to the email that I provided, if you could send or write up a success story. Whatever you've gained, whether it's over, some of us have been with us, we've been doing this now about 2.5, a little over 2 years and almost 2.5 years. If you could just write a success story, and I want to use that to gauge how to improve on what we're doing, because we have other things in store in the future. We want to expand this out, get bigger, get better. But if you could just do a success story and just send it to the email, we would definitely greatly appreciate it. That being said, if there's nothing else, let us go ahead and close out in prayer. Attention prayer. I seek refuge in Allah from the accursed Satan. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise is due to Allah, Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. Master the day of judgment in which we now live, the alone do we serve, thine aid do we seek. Please, Allah, guide us on the straight path, the path upon whom thou hast bestowed favors, not the path upon whom thy wrath is brought down, nor of those who go astray if they have heard thy teachings. Ameen. Inshallah, family, we'll see each other Wednesday at 10 a.m. If you can't make it Wednesday, 10 a.m., it will be posted on the YouTube channel as well. Sister Glenda, if you will stay on, I will answer whatever question that you might have and point you in the proper direction.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, family.
Walaikum salam.
Salam, sir.
Walaikum salam, family.
Walaikum salam.